All right, welcome back to the Warriors Way. Our warrior this week is Jeremy Riley, and his group is called the End of I. If you want to go check out some of his stuff that he's got, go to endofimusic.com. But we are here to meet the guy. And so we were just getting into the story of you and your wife and the baby being born. You chose to allow that to happen organically and take some time. So, and you're 27, 28.
Yep.
Right in there. All right, so what happened next?
Well, what was crazy, and this is where God, I think, started to show himself a little bit, because up until that point, this is how I was living, just kind of by the seat of my pants. And then once...
Just experience to experience, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I set out to do that. I made up my mind. I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. And God's like, all right, go ahead. Have fun.
Yeah. See how that works out.
Right. And here I'm on my brother's couch.
Yeah, I'm couching.
But so our relationship together, as it progressed, man, I started to do my best to get my life together, at least get a more steady job, start to save some money, get my own place.
Yeah.
And it happened.
Okay.
But what was crazy is while it was happening, I was still doing stuff. I was still partying.
Yeah.
I was still doing cocaine.
But it was like a normal thing at that point, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me it was, but I had to do it in a way to keep it from her, because she's got a kid,
Yeah.
right, and she's trying to get her life together,
Right.
And this is where I realized women are way more mature earlier on than
Yes.
guys.
Yes. I'm not sure that changes later.
No, my wife would probably agree with that.
Yeah,
but,
I know mine would.
but this is what was happening, So now I was struggling with the addiction, and I wanted to quit deep down inside.
Yeah.
But man, trying to do things in your own strength, I was on that hamster wheel.
Yeah.
So here I am. We're like 3 years in. I've proposed. I've adopted Riley. He's now my son.
Yeah.
And I'm still struggling with this thing on the side, man.
Right. You got a monster in a box,
Dude, and it's crazy. And it only got worse because I switched jobs, and for the first time, I got a job where now I'm working side by side with the coke dealer.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So now I didn't have to wait around to get it.
How did that happen?
Dude, I don't know who was responsible for placing me with this guy, but I have a pretty good idea. But I'll just tell you, man, when that happened,
Yeah.
that's when the addiction went through a whole nother level.
Well, yeah, because you just you're like, I'm on an up level. I beat that boss, and I'm going to the next one.
Yeah, I graduated, dude, up to the whatever you want to call that. But man, it was nuts. And then for like 2 years, man, maybe a year and a half, I don't know exactly, but I got to a point, dude, where I was, and I'm just averaging this out. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know, give or take maybe 100 or two, but I was snorting probably around $400 or $500 a week up my nose. And I was hiding it.
Wow.
So
To be able to hide that's fairly impressive.
yeah, and
I mean, it's gotta
and very costly. The interest rates for cash advance are, I'm just here to tell you, are
They're huge. That 18 to 24% starts to kill you, right?
dude.
Wow.
I'm telling you, man. That's how I did it.
Wow.
I was
Always robbing Peter to pay Paul, huh?
flat out,
Man. So when's the come to Jesus moment? Like, when does that happen?
dude. So
Because you had to be stressing out of your mind.
I was living your life that way, and having to lie to cover up another lie, to cover up another lie, to cover up another lie is no way to live, man. And it probably aged me internally in ways that
Yeah, the inside of your body's like 60.
man, when I hear people talk about, struggling with it, those feelings still come back, man.
Right.
God, I'm thankful for that, because I never forget what that felt like. But it got to a point where I went out. I got out of work one day, and I called Nikki, and I'm like, "Listen, I'm going to go pick up a couple movies for us tonight, and I'll be home. Give me an hour."
Yeah.
As soon as I hung up that phone, the guy that I was hanging out with called me. He's like, "Hey, I just hooked up," and I went, "You're talking 3:30 in the afternoon, bro."
Yeah. You just took a detour.
And just turned right around and went to that guy's house, and I was there till about 3 a.m. And at this point, I'm like wigging out, because when at this point,
You can't cover that one.
No, and she was blowing up my phone, and I
for
was just
sure.
like putting it away. I didn't want to answer it, man.
Right.
So
that fear, right?
oh man,
God
dude.
almighty.
And what was crazy is I finally mustered up enough courage to get in my car and start driving towards my house.
Mm-hmm.
And I got on 69, dude, just flying towards Davison because I lived in Windsor Place Apartments at the time.
Yeah.
And I remembered as clear as, 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I passed like Center Road, getting closer to Davison.
Yeah.
And dude, I just started to meditate, just like think about where my life was at, man. Like really gut check.
Yeah.
And dude, I started to weep, man. And I started to cry out. I'm like, God, if you are real,
Yeah. This is the moment, right?
if you are real, God,
Yeah.
you need to step in. Because why do I keep doing this to myself?
Yeah.
Why do I keep hurting everybody I love? Why can't I quit this? And I said, Jesus, if you are real, you need to help me. I was literally, dude, I wanted to die. I wanted to kill myself, man.
Right.
And so I was literally at the end of my rope.
Right.
And I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, God, why? And I get off, I go home,
Yeah.
and when I walk in, the first thing that
You got this.
oh
bro.
man,
You got this.
the
bro.
first thing that Nikki did was hug me because I wasn't dead.
Wow. More concerned about your safety. That's real love right there, buddy.
Dude.
No kidding.
And I went in, I passed out on the couch. The next day she left. She took Riley, went home to stay. Well, she went to stay with her mom's.
Yeah.
And I woke up that next morning, dude. And all I can tell you is I knew that I knew that I knew that I wasn't going to touch it again.
You know what's so funny is I say that exact statement when I went through when I was going to commit suicide over my thing, and I know that I know that I know. I say that all the time. And what does that mean? That's it. That's the answer.
You can't
And
explain it.
There's a before moment and after. Like I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
And at that moment, that's amazing. So you're like 29.
At this
29?
point, I was 30.
Okay. So we had a couple of years that we're doing
Yeah.
this. Yeah, like you said, Riley was 3. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you make it past that, and you make a decision, and so, like, when do you start doing like the worship music like thing? Man?
So
because after you hit that moment,
So this is crazy. There's a gap between when God healed me from this and where I finally truly surrendered. So and there was a process. And looking back, I realized God allowed me to have that little bit of a break, being clean and sober, but not really surrendering my life to Him. So after it happened, I knew it was Him.
right?
And there was a part of me on the inside is like, you know what? I need to quit. I was going to sell all my equipment. I was blaming my instrument and guitar. And,
Sure. Yeah, because it's not my fault.
no, it's got nothing
Yeah.
to do with me.
If my guitar wasn't so dirty, I would not have this problem.
It keeps buying cocaine. I don't get it.
Right? I tell it no.
So,
All right, so you're at this moment. You're about to give up the dream, the whole.
and my dad, my biological father, man,
Yeah.
steps in, and I had a front row seat. My biological dad struggled with drugs and alcohol all of his life.
yeah.
Burned marriage after marriage after marriage. I had a front row seat to this.
Right.
And Jesus miraculously healed him in his mid-50s.
Wow. Okay.
And so this had already taken place in his life.
All right.
So I'm talking to him, and I'm like, listen, Dad, I think I need to quit. And you know what he told me? He's like, no. He goes, I think what you need to do is you owe it to yourself to go after this thing now, clean and sober.
Okay.
And that made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, all
Let's
right.
see what we got.
Let's see what's going to happen here. I didn't disregard God. I knew He had His hand, but I had believed at this point now that He put me here to be a rock star.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So if there was ever a moment in my life where I believe God started to turn me was the night He healed me. That's when it started.
Yeah.
So
But you
for-
still had to make the decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 3 years went by, and as this was happening, I had 2 guys trying to get me to be in a band with them. One of which I went to school with, and he was a drummer.
Yeah.
So to make a long story short,
No, please.
okay, So I was recording some backing tracks and just recording music with a buddy of mine. Well, they came over and they were recording music with him too.
Yeah.
And they wanted to do a little gig. So me and Dave had our own little thing and they had their own little thing. And they're like, well, why don't you guys play with us and we'll back you up?
Yeah.
Well, when I played with them, it was a no-brainer what I was supposed to be doing. I was like, okay, I need to be playing with these guys.
Wow.
And it was Dion. He'd been trying for like 2 or 3 years, but I had this drug addiction.
Yeah.
You know, it was a mess.
Yeah. It's amazing what happens you can't do when you're playing with a monster, right?
Oh, man, dude. You ain't lying, brother. But it was nuts, man, because we hooked up and we started to play and we started to write. Mm-hmm. And these guys were professionals, man. Like in their daily lives, you had teachers and you had production managers in Ford, and you know these guys had their stuff together,
right?
And I didn't.
Right.
I was coming off this aftermath,
right?
And so we started playing, and we started in the garage, and within 1 year, man, we were opening up for national bands, starting with the Machine Shop,
right?
And then it moved down to Detroit because each of us lived in an area, so we targeted the best places in the areas that we lived in. Mm-hmm. And that band ended up within 3 years, we went from playing in the garage to opening up for Motley Crue and Godsmack at DTE,
which is a big jump,
dude.
Let me tell you something. That is a perfect stop point. We got to stop there. When we come back, we're going to get into that part of it. If you haven't gone to spiritualwarfareunit.com and checked that out, please go and check it out. If you were looking for to help someone or to get help, go check out our life application class at spiritualwarfareunit.com. Go to YouTube, like, subscribe, and share. Dave, we'll be right back. Taking a quick break from our podcast, I wanted to let you know about our life application program that we have for churches and nonprofits in the area that are trying to find programming that they can use in case the corona shuts you down and you're not able to get in. You go to spiritualwarfareunit.com. You click on our episodes, and you can check out our programs for as little as $29.99 a month to make sure that we're still getting the word out to those people that need it. Now, back to the program. Today's show is supported by El Carafe Shrine in Clio, Michigan, and they're sponsoring a sportsman's raffle, which is held on April 23rd, 2022. Address is 4240 West Wilson Road, Clio, Michigan, 48420. It starts at noon. Ticket costs are $20 in advance, $25 at the door. One ticket gets you a shot at 100 different weapons. If you're interested in getting a ticket, please call 810-686-2641, or you can buy online at eksportsman.com. That is eksportsman.com. One ticket gets you a shot at over 100 weapons, and if you buy a booklet for $60, you get an extra ticket for a special drawing of 12 weapons or cash prizes. Please check them out online, eksportsman.com, or you can call 810-686-2641. Now back to the show.